All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting for Monday, June the 8th, 2026. I will call, actually, first off, sir, we have a subdivision authority, so we'll deal with the subdivision authority meeting first. So we'll call that subdivision authority meeting to order and ask for an adoption of the agenda as presented, please. Councillor Sorensen, motion on the table, all in favor? Carried unanimously. And for the record, we are expecting Councillor Weeb to attend. She's just going to be a little bit delayed this afternoon. On to item number 3, adoption of the minutes. Mr. Thibault, anything arising?
Administration has nothing to adjust in the minutes. Back over to council.
Thank you. Someone prepared to make that motion required? Councillor Antlik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we approve, or the subdivision authority adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of subdivision authority held on April 13th, 2026 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 4.1, subdivision TT 26-0004. Mr. Thibault.
We'll ask Ms. Hillary Jansen to come forward and explain what we have in front of us here.
Ms. Johnson.
Good afternoon,
Good
Council,
afternoon.
acting as the subdivision authority. So we have for you today just one subdivision for your consideration. We received an application in beginning of May, so May 13th, to subdivide and consolidate, so essentially a lot line adjustment of 2 titles to just realign titles according to those landowners. There's the existing site that wishes to be subdivided contains the a crematorium, and they wish to consolidate the lands behind them to the property to the east. The lot is currently designated light industrial, so the M1 district, and the M1 district would apply after this subdivision if it is approved. The proposed lots will be split along the south side of the existing building, and as I mentioned, consolidated. That southern portion will be consolidated to the east as illustrated on the site plan, or on the subdivision plan. The applicant states that they wish to use the land for additional commercial storage. So the lands to the east currently have 2 bay buildings that they use for storage purposes. And so they wish to use the remainder of the title in that same way if the subdivision is approved. This proposed subdivision does meet all the town of Taber's subdivision criteria. The proposed application was circulated to all the external agencies, and I've included those comments in your agenda package, but there was nothing, there was one comment of note from the Alberta Energy Regulator regarding the location of abandoned wells within the quarter section. That's how they look at them. So a quarter section is obviously a pretty big area within the town. In looking at their comments, I will note that the abandoned well is not in proximity to the proposed subdivision, or in close proximity. It's well far away from there, and it would have no impact on the property or the subdivision in question. So with that, I have put forward a recommendation to you that TT 26-0004 be approved with the conditions that all outstanding taxes are paid and up to date, that they enter into a servicing agreement if required. We're certain that they don't, but I always put that on there just in case something pops up. Easements and or right-of-way shall be registered against the land for the provision of storm, drain, gas, power, or other utilities as required by a utility company or the town in this matter. The subdivided parcels shall be consolidated with the adjacent title being that parcel to the east, and that the subdivision plan shall be registered in a manner that's satisfactory to land titles. And I've noted the reasons also on there. It is satisfy the Section 9 of the matters related to subdivision development regulation. It's compliant with the M1 or light industrial zoning, and we didn't receive any comments or concerns with regards to the proposed subdivision from any of the adjacent landowners. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Johnson whatsoever? All right, thank you. Fairly straightforward, I believe. All right, Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make the following motion that the subdivision authority approve subdivision TT 26-0-004, plan 0714240, block 8, lot 41, with the northwest of the 8th to the 10th to the 16th, west of the 4th, with the following conditions.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just ask for a motion to close the subdivision authority meeting, please. Councilor Renford, all right. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And I will call the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting to order and ask for the adoption agenda as presented, please. Councilor Sorensen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And item 3, public hearings. We have 2 public hearings today. The first, item 3.1, bylaw 21-2026. I will call the public meeting to order, sorry. And just advise that members of the public in attendance who wish to speak against or for bylaw 21-2026, the land use bylaw rezoning M1 to M2, will have a 5-minute time limit for speaking and must state their full name for the record, and also must state if they are speaking for themselves or on behalf on any group or organization. Mr. Tebow.
So we'll have Ms. Hillary Jansen come forward. The first reading of this already happened, obviously, which brings us to the public hearing. And
Correct.
Ms. Jansen will go through it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. For this particular rezoning application, it is for the property I think everybody knows as the Techno Trash property. So when we were talking to the landowner about the property and its current use and how it's evolved over time, it was recognized that it currently doesn't comply with our land use bylaw because it's in the light industrial M1 district, which doesn't have a recycling depot as a use. So in discussing with them their aspirations to, they've added things that haven't been permitted to date, like the shipping containers and that coverall building. We did request that they put in a rezoning application to M2, so that would allow them to then apply for those structures on the property, obviously retroactively. So with that, I have the following kind of comments for your consideration with regards to this particular rezoning application. The use of the property, as mentioned, is the electronic recycling facility, would be classified as a recycling depot. As such, those uses on the property are considered non-conforming at this point in time. It's not that they're non-compliant, they're just non-conforming, and is subject to Section 643 of the Municipal Government Act, which guides us with regards to non-conforming uses for all developments within the town. The medium industrial district includes a recycling depot as a discretionary use and is the most appropriate district for the proposed and continued use of the property. There have been structures added, as I mentioned, without the benefit of a development permit, including multiple shipping containers and that coverall fabric structure building, which are not permitted as the primary use is considered non-conforming. A non-conforming use means you can't add on to a use as long as it's non-conforming. You have to bring it into compliance. Kind of weird planning language, but you want everything to comply and you want people to be aware of that. So that's why we have this public process. The proposed rezoning would bring the property into compliance with the Town of Taber's land use bylaw and allow for the landowner to submit the appropriate development permit applications for the existing unpermitted structures. And then again, once again, any future development or additions onto the property, if they were to change, they have a couple buildings there, those might change in terms of use or how they currently use them today. The proposed rezoning was sent to just 2 agencies, Alberta Transportation and Alberta Health Services. No concerns or objections were raised with regards to this particular application. The application was also advertised in the Taber Times on the May 27th and June 3rd editions, and also sent to landowners within 100 meters of the property. No comments or concerns were received as a result of the advertising or of with regards to the mail out to the adjacent landowners. So there's nothing in your agenda package, and I have nothing else to present in that regard. So we have, obviously, as the recommendation for this is that you receive this for information, and then we'll proceed later on in the council meeting with regards to second reading. So if there are any questions, I'm here. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Is anyone present wishing to speak against bylaw 21-2026 for rezoning M1 to M2? Anyone present wishing to speak against bylaw 21-2026 for land use bylaw rezoning M1 to M2 a second time? Anyone present wishing to speak regarding bylaw 21-2026 land use bylaw for rezoning, third and final time. All right, seeing none. Anyone present wish to speak for bylaw 21-26 rezoning M1 to M2? Anyone present wish to speak for bylaw 21-2026 rezoning M1 to M2 for a second time? Anyone present wish to speak for bylaw 21-2026 for rezoning M1 to M2 for a third and final time? All right, seeing none. No other questions for Ms. Jansen? All right, so I'm prepared to make that motion. Councilor Renford?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion that council accept for information the input received at this public hearing for land use bylaw amendment 21-2026 for an amendment to the land use bylaw.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimous, thank you. And I will hereby close the hearing. Moving on to item 3.2, bylaw 22-2026, amendment Northwest Area Structure Plan. I will call that public hearing meeting to order as well. And understand that members of the public in attendance who wish to speak against or for bylaw 22-2026, amendment to the Northwest Area Structure Plan will have a 5-minute limit for speaking and must state their full name for the record, and also must state if they're speaking for themselves or on behalf of any group or organization. Mr. Tebow?
Okay, again, first reading happened, if council recalls. This is to do with the properties that are on 56th Avenue. And I'll hand it over to Hillary to walk us through it.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jansen, again.
Thank you. So for this public hearing for bylaw 22-2026, it is an amendment to the Northwest Area Structure Plan, which was approved back in 2016. This particular application is to amend the designation of lands within this particular area structure plan. So within an area structure plan, as you can see on the map there, there's broad areas for different types of housing, essentially. There's some commercial and institutional in here, but it's mostly housing. So we have low density, medium density, and mixed density. And in this particular area on 56th Avenue, or in that 2016 plan, those properties were designated as low density. So low density in this particular plan meant single detached dwellings or semi-detached dwellings, and that was it. This plan was pretty restrictive in terms of what it allowed. Medium and mixed density included higher density developments, which would include town housing. So as this is a higher order of plan than our land use bylaw, in order for the applicant to be able to do town housing, which is their desire, this plan had to be first amended so that it was in compliance, so that all the plans are now into compliance with each other. So within the, as I mentioned, within this plan, town housing is only considered under our medium density residential area. And so they have submitted an application as such. With the town, so with regards to our other documents within the town, specifically our municipal development plan, there are policies related to density, which council can consider when you're looking at this particular application. Policy 3.6.4A states that higher density residential developments are encouraged along key intersections and along major community corridors. And 56th Avenue is considered a major corridor within the municipal development plan. So this would be an appropriate area for that higher density type development to occur. If approved, the amendment would allow the applicant to apply to put town housing on the parcel, which is their intent. So that kind of concludes it. That's pretty much what the MDP says in terms of that and what you can use as your guidance for making a decision on this application. This bylaw amendment application was advertised in the May 27th and 3rd editions of the Taber Times. As an area structure plan amendment, we don't send it out to every single landowner within, obviously, that area structure plan. So we do advertise it for a couple weeks as per our policy. I did not hear any comments or concerns back with regards to this application. It was also sent out to the external agencies for their review. There was no comments or concerns with regards to any external agencies on this particular application. So with that, I will turn it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Is anyone present wishing to speak against bylaw 22-2026 area structure plan? Anyone present wish to speak against bylaw 22-2026 bylaw amendment to Northwest Area Structure Plan a second time? And anyone present wishing to speak against bylaw 22-2026 amendment for the Northwest Area Structure Plan, third and final time? All right, seeing none. Anyone present wish to speak for bylaw 22, 2026 amendment, Northwest Area Structure Plan? Anyone present wish to speak for bylaw 22, 2026 amendment, Northwest Area Structure Plan, second time? And anyone present wish to speak for bylaw 22, 2026 for the amendment to the Northwest Area Structure Plan, third and final time? All right, seeing none. Any question from Ms. Jansen whatsoever? All right, thank you. Ms. Weed, welcome again. All right, someone prepared to make that motion, please.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I would just like to apologize
Sure.
for being late. I was at a family funeral, so.
All right, totally understandable, thank you. All right, Counselor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accepts for information the input received at this public hearing for bylaw 22-2026, being an amendment to the Northwest Area Structure Plan bylaw 21-2016.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And I will hereby close the public hearing. Moving on to item 4, adoption of minutes, 4.1 minutes, regular meeting of council, May 25th, 2026. Mr. Tebow,
Administration has no adjustment to the minutes.
Right.
Back over to council.
anything arising from council? Right? Someone prepared to make that motion? Counselor Antlich.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on May 25th, 2026 as presented.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 5, business arising. There are none. Item 6, bylaws. Item 6.1, bylaw 14, 2026, land use bylaw rezoning. Mr. Tebow.
Again, we'll have Miss Hillary Jansen come up. There's a lot of Hillary tonight. If council recalls, first and second reading did happen. We did our public hearing in between there, and now we're looking at third reading for this particular parcel.
Just
Right,
for the
thank
record, I'm going to stay up here for the next few, okay?
Sure.
Thank you. With regards to bylaw 14-2026, so this was the rezoning from a light industrial district to medium industrial district. And the intent of this particular rezoning application was to facilitate a bulk fuels facility relocating to this particular parcel. Second reading of the bylaw was granted at the last meeting of council on May 25th. And with regards to the application itself, there were, at the public hearing, there were no comments or concerns. I don't believe there was anything that was mentioned at that time with regards to this rezoning. There was no concerns from any of the adjacent property owners, nor from any external agencies. And administration has put forward a recommendation that third reading of bylaw 14-2026 be approved, as it doesn't, there's no negative impacts to the general town or to any of the adjacent properties with regards to this application.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising for Hillary? All right, Counselor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to make the motion that council approve third reading of, to bylaw 14-2026 to amend land use bylaw 13-2020.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carry unanimously. Thank you. On to item 6.2, bylaw 15, 2026, land use bylaw rezoning R1 to R4. Mr. Tebow.
So same situation as last time. First and second reading took place, public hearing took place, and we now have the parcel in front of us. Hillary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. With regards to this particular bylaw, this was the public hearing and second reading were held on May 25th, being the last council meeting for bylaw 15-2026 to redesignate a parcel from the single dwelling district, which is our R1 district, to residential comprehensive multiple dwelling, that's a mouthful, R4 district, to facilitate the future development in accordance with the R4 district. They wish to put 3 multi-unit residential buildings on the parcel, which would mirror the development that they have directly to the east already. If the rezoning were successful, the applicant would be required to submit their development permit applications to be reviewed and approved by town administration. At the public hearing, nobody came to speak for or against the application, but there was a concern that was submitted to council just with regards to the implications of having higher density in a lower density area. from the administrator's perspective, there are no concerns with regards to this type of development. They will gain access outside of the immediate area on 55th Street to the west. And this development is consistent with our municipal development plan and also consistent with obviously development that has been approved along in that area more recently. So with that, we have put forward the recommendation that council approve third reading of bylaw 15-2026 to amend the land use bylaw.
All right, any questions for Ms. Jansen whatsoever? All right, thank you. And just for interest's sake there, that highlighted photo is not completely accurate. It would look much different today with all the work that's
It
gone
would.
on there, so. All right, someone prepared to make that motion? Counselor Sparks?
Yes, make the motion that council approve third reading to bylaw 15-2026 to amend land use bylaw 13-2020.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 6.3, bylaw 21-2026, land use bylaw rezoning M1 to M2. Second reading, Mr. Tebow.
So this follows the public hearing that we just had earlier. I'll put the map up on the screen. Again, we're just asking for second reading tonight, given that we had the public hearing process. And I'll hand it over to Hillary.
Yes, with regards to, as you heard, there was no comments or concerns with this application. So we have put forward that recommendation to you to give second reading to bylaw 21-2026 to amend the land use bylaw. Third reading would be held at the next meeting of council for your consideration.
All right. Thank you. And anything arising for Ms. Jansen whatsoever? Okay. Someone prepared to make that motion? Counselor Weeb?
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council give second reading to bylaw 21-2026 to amend land use bylaw 13-2020.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And moving on to item 6.4, bylaw 22-2026, amendment to Northwest Area Structure Plan. Second reading, Mr. Tebow.
Again, following the public hearing, just asking for a second reading on this to do with the update to the Northwest Area Structure Plan.
All right. Thank you. Hillary, anything to add there?
Nothing to add, just that we have put forward that recommendation for second reading, and third reading, as per council's guidance, would happen at the next council meeting.
All right. Any questions whatsoever? Someone prepared to make that motion? Counselor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council give second reading to bylaw 22-2026 to amend the Northwest Area Structure Plan bylaw 12-2026.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 6.5, golf cart pilot project, bylaw 9-2026, first reading. Mr. Tebow.
Okay, so this is the long-awaited trial golf cart bylaw. I believe this had Mr. Beckering's fingerprints on it back in the day, and that is on our notice of motion. Oh, was it? Okay. Someone who's not on council anymore. Yeah, I think Mr. maybe Beckering made the motion. So we've put it together for first reading. I will note that after council gives first reading, it does have to go to the minister for their acceptance. We don't believe there's anything in here that would be any cause for concern based on us crafting this after Coaldale's bylaw. Lacombe has one, and there's a couple other places that this was crafted after. So really, we're just going to try and town of Taborize it and have that go through the minister, and then we can come back for second and third readings. I will put up on screen. Actually, maybe I'll just hand it back over to council. If you had any particular questions about what was in the package for the. And again, it's just a trial, and we can certainly make adjustments and may need to after it comes back from the minister.
All right. Thank you. Counselor Attenborough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Tebow, just looking at the map that Schedule B that was given, if people have questions, like that's where the designated highways are, what does that change? I noticed there's just a little open space on 53rd Avenue. Is that like, see how it doesn't fill in there? Like, do they get ticketed there? I'm just wondering about that map.
So this is where I was going to go because I figured we'd be talking about
that's
a
where
map.
I live.
This was our first attempt at creating a map. I guess the only thing that I would mention is that wherever we designate the highways, we then also have to have the corresponding signage. And so we started with a much wider area, and after we had some discussions, we sort of narrowed it down a little bit based on how many signs that we would have. So certainly feel free to, we can amend the map now. We can wait for a second reading and come back with those amendments at that point in time, but we could certainly have a discussion around what we think we'd like to see. I believe it was the traffic committee that came up with the initial mapping and just landed on those spots. And I don't know exactly where you're talking about, Councillor Antonuc, on 50. Oh, I see. Okay, that little, yeah.
Little spot right here.
Yeah, they're going to get ticketed if they drive there. Yeah, I think we just missed that. So I know in talking, for a little background from the traffic committee's perspective, and talking with Chief Abella, he doesn't have any concerns about this being anywhere in town. So this was us sort of starting in maybe a smaller bite size because of the cost of signage, which I forget if it mentioned in here how much it was, but it's definitely something to be thought of because they have to be signed. But this is where we started at. So you could certainly make adjustments to this.
No, it looks good. I was just a question, a future thing. And it did say $250 per sign in the reading.
All right, Councillor Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a question. I don't know if I'm misreading it, but point 4.1.7 says operate a golf cart other than 1 hour after sunrise or 1 hour before sunset. To me, it reads that a golf cart can only be operated for the hour after sunrise or the hour right before sunset. I don't know if that's just the way I'm reading it.
So when we created it, our thoughts were you're going to be able to operate a golf cart in all the time frames outside of what is listed there. So you can operate a golf cart other than 1 hour after sunrise or 1 hour before sunset. So it kind of would line up with the same sort of thought process you'd have around playground zones type of operation. But we could certainly make that clearer. Noted.
I understand the reasoning, it just is making it sound like it's only those 2 hours to me.
Yeah, actually, I see what she's saying. It's a little bit vague, I guess is the word. So to clean that up, I guess it's just a matter of clarifying the exact hours in between that time period, right?
Yeah, we could certainly put it forward in that way. And we do have a traffic committee meeting on the 17th, so we can certainly take these comments back and update things.
And overall, Mr. Tebow, would this be very similar to what's going on in Coaldale? Theirs is fairly new, I think just a year old there.
Yeah, this will be their second year in the season, very consistent with what's going on in Coaldale. Outside, I'm not really sure of the mapping. I don't know if they allow, I think they're really close to their golf course. I don't think they've allowed the entire
Yeah, I didn't
town.
mean the mapping so much, more than the content of the actual document.
Yeah, the content is mostly cribbed after Coaldale, but there's definitely some things that we liked at Lacombe's and another that we incorporated into this.
All right, we're not reinventing the wheel anyway. Yeah, great. All right, thank you. Councillor Renfrew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess to Mr. Tebow, you mentioned that the Chief Abella didn't really mind where the map went. So does that mean people are going to probably be driving outside of the map, or will they be bylawed to stay in this map?
So the bylaw that's created will designate where they are allowed to use that vehicle. I could tell you today that I've seen vehicles outside of this current map, and we don't have anything in place for golf carts to be out and about, and I don't believe that they're actively ticketing people at this point in time. But we had to put something forward from a traffic perspective. And again, because of the cost of signs, this was kind of what we thought.
All right, Councillor Sorensen.
To Mr. Tebow, is there any public consultation in regards to bylaws? Or is it just coming to council normally?
I don't have a really good answer for that. I don't remember going out for any public consultation on bylaws. I think normally they just come through here. After the bylaw goes through first reading, then we would there would be an opportunity for people to say something about it, like other bylaws. So at this point, no, but I guess, yeah, when we get through for the second we would have comments that would come our way after this gets posted out there for sure, if there was any.
All right, thank you, Counselor Sorensen.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Tebow. That was my point, is if there was a huge interest from the public for a different area, maybe that would be brought to our attention. But I would be prepared to make a motion. The council gives first reading to bylaw 9-2026 pilot project golf carts bylaw as presented and directs administration to proceed with the application package and submit it to the minister for acceptance.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tebow?
Sorry, I maybe just instead of, just want to clarify, instead of as presented, maybe it's as amended so that we can make the wording adjustments to that 4.1.7, the golf cart thing. Would that be consistent with what I thought I heard?
Can I make that friendly,
Yes, you can.
what is it called? Friendly amendment? Yeah, it's been a while.
So you wish to add that?
I'm wishing to make that a small adjustment, please, instead of as presented as amended.
Okay, very well. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Right, item 7, action items, item 7.1, joint use and planning agreement. Mr. Tebow?
If council recalls, there was a joint use planning agreement already put forward. This one is for the Holy Spirit School Division. I think council even asked that question back then. And so we'll have Hillary come up and speak to it. Generally speaking, I don't think there's a ton of adjustments, but Hillary can speak to what those might be specifically.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Council. So as per their requirements under the Municipal Government Act, every municipality and school division is required to have a joint use and planning agreement. As you recall, I think it was about a month or a bit ago that we did bring forward one with the Horizon School Division. And so now this is the one for the Holy Spirit Catholic School Division. It's pretty much the same document that you would have reviewed with the Horizon School Division. There were some minor adjustments that the school division requested that were to align it with all their other agreements that they have to create, because they're in a very linear, they've crossed a lot of municipal boundaries, but they were pretty inconsequential, just some minor wording adjustments here and there. Nothing that would implicate or cause any issues with the town or how we operate currently today. As mentioned, when we discussed this with the Horizon School Division, these agreements essentially put onto paper what we already have in practice. So it allows, obviously, them to use our facilities, we can use their facilities, but just having that formalized agreement. And it also embeds in that agreement it establishes how, like, if a school property were to come surplus, how that would occur, or if a new school site is to happen in the town, how that would occur, what the sizing requirements are for each one of them, which is really important when we're doing, say, like the Southeast Area Structure Plan, where we want to identify potential school or joint use sites that would be both municipal and school. So this kind of just puts those things onto paper and establishes the ability to have those committees of administration and also joint council and school board meetings on a more obviously regular basis than we have today. So with that, we have put forward the recommendation that town council approve the joint use and planning agreement as presented. I'm definitely open if there are any questions or comments.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Councilor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through to Ms. Jansen. I'm noticing in the list of municipal facilities available for joint use, it says soccer fields not at Ken McDonald Memorial Sports Complex. And then it says the oval inside track, 3 mini soccer pitches. Is that including the soccer fields behind St. Pat's as well?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So those are Town of Tabor municipal
They are.
fields. Okay.
Yeah,
I get
and-
that question a lot.
I did note that that it could have been a little bit clearer on that specific one, that it does include the soccer fields both on the east and west sides of St. Pat's, because those are both actually under the Town of Tabor's land ownership, not under the school.
Okay.
So I did recognize it, but it was inclusive of that, not just the oval and that area. But thank
Perfect.
you for
Thank
that.
you.
All right, thank you. Councilor Renford.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm ready to make a motion that council approve the joint use and planning agreement as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Chair unanimous. Thank you. Item 7.2, executive appointments requests, Tabor Shooting Foundation. Mr. Tebow.
I'll be speaking to this one. There's no one that came from the Tabor Shooting Foundation, and we weren't expecting anyone. They had just sent in the request to council. So in your package, in the background, it talks about the idea of a donation. We were able to ascertain what the MD had donated to the shooting range, maybe give council a bit of an idea. We did also find out that there is, because there's a request to be a representative on their board, on the executive. The MD does have a representative themselves, and they are a voting member. So we didn't ask that question to them specifically if this one would also be a voting member, but I think like in many of our other ones, if we're going to be part of something, we would very likely want to be a voting member. So that would definitely be something we would go back to them with if council had a desire to participate in that. And I think we put forward what you have left in the council discretionary fund.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tebow. And I think I just looked at that again here. I believe that it's already stated in there that as per their bylaws, they have to vote somebody in first, but they are a voting member. So I believe it said that in their documentation, correct?
Correct. They have to go through their process.
Right, okay. So you still wanted to clarify that through the council format? Administration to their
if-
administration?
If council wants to be representative on the executive, administration would just go back and make sure that that process would take place and that the member would be a voting member. So once you indicate if you are or aren't in favor, then we would take that next step and ask the question.
Right, okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Rufford?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I would, if we were a voting member, I would put my name forward to sit on their board if you guys are up for that. And in regards to the donation, I think matching the MDs is a good idea. It's a pretty high-end thing out there. Like, it is world-class. We did go out there previous council. So, I guess going to Mr. Tebow, can we do that motion now without the information you're getting for voting?
Yeah, we certainly can. We could go back and make sure that that is the case. And there's two separate motions in the alternatives, one that speaks to the donation and one that speaks to the council appointment.
Councilor Rufford?
So I think we should wait to do the appointment until we know we're a voting member, right? Because I think we've joined things that we're not a voting member, and if we're not a voting member, I don't know how,
Yeah.
We should be one. So I'm saying I think we should wait on that one, but I'm willing to make a motion that council donates $2,500 to the Tabor Shooting Foundation with funds to come from the 2026 council discretionary fund.
All right, thank you. We do have a motion on the table. Councilor Sorensen, you had a question also? Comment?
Well, I'm in favor of the motion. I just wanted to also find out what day of the month they meet and what time, just so it doesn't conflict with your schedule or anyone else that's gonna step up for that position.
I believe I read, is it the third Thursday? Did I see?
Third Thursday, oh, sorry,
Yep,
I didn't read.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, so, so no other questions in that regard. We do have a motion on the table. All in favor? Carry unanimously, thank you. So no motion required at this stage, just going to make a call. You need something in writing from them or just verbal?
We would get something in email and we'll
Okay.
we'll bring it back to
Okay,
council.
we can deal with that next meeting then.
You bet.
Okay, perfect, thank you. All right, moving on to item 7.4, Tabor's Table. Oh, sorry, all right, you're right, thank you. 7.3, reschedule of regular council meeting June 22nd to June the 23rd, 2026. Mr. Tebow?
So this one's all me. I'm not available on the 22nd, and typically I ask for some type of support replacement. However, support replacement is also not available on the 22nd, so I'm asking if we could move it to Tuesday on the 23rd at the same time, or if there was some other date that was better for council. But that's the request.
All right, thank you. Any concern with that, council? Councilor Weeb?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, it shouldn't affect the decision, but I don't know that I'd be able to make that as I have a personal commitment already that afternoon, so.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that's a factor, but can consider that. Anything else? Counselor Sorensen?
Yeah, I'd be in favor as long as you have quorum, because I'm not sure if I'd be able to attend as I'll be away that week,
Right.
so.
Anybody else have any conflicting commitments? Yeah, okay, so. Be- Yeah, right. Yeah. So is there another preference other than what administration's suggesting, requesting? Or we're gonna go with that Tuesday, the 23rd? What's that? Oh. Counselor Sorensen?
I was just wondering if we could table this perhaps to after our meal break, and then we can check schedules.
Yeah, we can do that. All right, moving on to item 7.4, Tabor's Table. Mr. Table?
So council this had been suggested to council, and council agreed for this to come forward. So I thought I'd just get Amy to come up and speak a little bit to some of the other details that council had requested.
All right, Amy.
Good afternoon,
welcome.
Council.
Good afternoon.
The Joint Economic Development Committee is really excited that we are in our 4th year of Tabor's Table, which is coming up on Saturday, August 15th in Confederation Park. As you know, many of you have attended before. It's a log table dinner in the park with all local ingredients, all local chefs. We've got some great chefs lined up this year, and we highlight local vendors and different vendors every year. So we're excited to see and bring together some different flavors from across the region. This year, the MD has purchased 20 tickets ahead of time to invite some special guests who come to the event from across the province. And as part of that, they're doing a pre-farm tour as well. Council, 3 councillors are invited to attend. They have 3 seats available if there are 3 councillors who would like to attend the pre-farm tour. And of course, we would love for you all to attend the actual dinner itself as well. Are there any questions I can answer?
No, seeing none, apparently not. Okay. All right, thank you. Counselor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just curious, do we need to, I know there's a suggested motion. Are these purchasing the tickets just we're just purchasing a random number of tickets, or are these talking about tickets that we're purchasing for council members to attend?
So the purpose was for council members to attend. The MD, I think, has purchased enough tickets to hand out to all the dignitaries that we would also probably want to invite to the event. So I think we're covered in that regard. This is really looking after how many council members wish to come to the event. And so I would suggest a maximum of 7, but however many actually want to show up. And if in fact council is in favor of the tour, we can take that offline. Administration can figure out which 3 folks have an interest in taking that tour.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Sorensen?
So as I sit on the Joint Economic Development Committee, I'm highly in favor of this event. I'm highly in favor of, as council, us attending the event and supporting the event and supporting our local businesses and producers. So right now, I'll just make the motion, and then everyone can let administration know if they can attend or not. But I'm crossing my fingers that it works with everyone's schedule. So I make the motion that council approves the purchase of 7 tickets to Tabor's Table from the council discretionary fund for the members of council to attend this year's event, which is August 15th, 2026. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Good, thank you. All right, on to item 7.5, council financial update. Capital variance report. Mr. Tebow.
We'll get Mr. Rob Osmond to come forward and present the financials.
Right, thank you. Mr. Osmond?
Thank you very much, Council. So before you tonight, we have the financial report update and capital variance report for the first quarter of 2026. It had been my intention to wait until Council had seen the financial statements for 2025 before starting the quarterly presentation of 2026. But because of the delay in getting those statements in front of Council, I thought it was getting a little late in the year to be putting off this first quarter review, so I brought it forward. The financial report and capital variance report that Council is looking at tonight, prior to the changes made to the audit committee in 2025, would have been submitted in a separate audit committee meeting. But following the changes to that bylaw, these are among the reports that we now just bring to a regular meeting of Council. So with that said, we can dive into the reports. So the challenge with sometimes financial reporting quarterly reports is that in an organization like the town that produces an annual budget, when we produce quarterly reports, we don't actually have a quarterly point to measure against. So typically when we go and look at the income statement where we look at our revenues and expenses, we're looking at the budget for a full year against the report for a quarter. And while some of our expenses, like wages and salaries, these do come in at a fairly predictable rate over the year, there are lots of other expenses and revenues that don't have that same one quarter cycle. So I'll point that out when we're looking at them. But so the first statement in the package is a statement of financial position. And again, like everything, all the financial reports in here, these are unaudited, provided as report updates for Council to be able to match. You can see that we are measuring the 2025 December 31st results against the March 31st, 2026. So basically you're seeing the shift in these balances over the first quarter. So just to pick one of them, for example, the cash and temporary investments, the cash cycle in the municipality typically hits its high right around tax time or shortly thereafter. And through the rest of the year, we're expending cash faster than we are bringing it in. And we see that reflected here in this report with our cash and temporary investments decreasing over time. So if at any point you have questions about any of these statements, you can interrupt me, we'll talk about them. But otherwise, I will forge ahead. The next document, this is a statement of operations or income statement. It looks at the revenues versus expenditures. We do look at the 2026 budget against the 2026 year-to-date and the 2025 year-to-date versus the 2026 year-to-date. So you can see here, if we look at the first line, that tax revenue tells the story of why these numbers are sometimes a little hard to look at. So we have the net taxes for the municipality budget of nearly $13 million. We are currently at a negative 1.1 million. The reason for that is in net taxation, you have tax revenue, but you also have the requisition payments for the housing authority and provincial school tax. So we've paid those requisitions, those invoices come quarterly, but our taxes at this point hadn't been invoiced. And then, but if you look at the year over year, you can see that the one quarter performance is quite similar. And so As you go through there, you can see there's a number of other numbers, salaries, wages, and benefits. They are tracking at just about 25%, which is where you'd expect them to be. A little bit lower because, of course, the summertime is when we bring on our additional summer staffing. And so it is a little bit higher in the summer quarters. But if we then transition over to the year over year, the first quarter examination, those numbers are actually very close together. So that's your income statement. And then we have the same statement again, but this is a higher level of detail. So now we're going into the individual accounts that we see in these. And you can see if we look at that, that first section, net taxes, you can see our year-to-dates are zero almost all the way down until you hit that public school requisition. And then we see our quarterly payments in. So this is the same as the first one, just a higher level of detail. Now you're seeing all the individual lines.
Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you. Mr. Osmond, what if someone were to prepay their taxes? Where does it show that they're making their monthly payment then on this statement?
Good question. You won't see that here because the taxes are collected in a subledger, basically like a receivables account. So your payments go onto your account, and that will affect the receivable balance that was on that first assets and liabilities statement that we looked at here. So that's where we'll see those prepayments. The revenue will pop up here when we have something that's posted through the tax module. So when we first post the taxes, they'll show up here. The adjustments that you see there in the categories of non-residential and residential, these are likely adjustments inside the accounts. So if it's hard to say, but it could be something around a property sale where we're making an adjustment or a change between a utility and a receivables account. You might see those types of adjustments here, but those prepayments are in the other statement.
Councillor Sorensen.
Sorry, then just to clarify, we won't see anything like that until like June when we normally get our tax assessment rates out?
Yeah, so you'll, the taxes were sent out at as close to the beginning of May as we could get them. And so as just before those go out, we post taxes in the system. So the second quarter statement, we'll see all of those tax revenues in those lines.
Perfect, thanks.
Yeah. Good. All right. Statement of departmental activities. So this statement is, again, it deals with the same groupings of accounts, the revenues and expenses, but this one is essentially giving you the net results of the individual departments of the municipality. So it's just another way of looking at the same numbers. And we look at these numbers a lot because the revenues and expenses, this is where the big action is happening in terms of the finances. And so we group and regroup these into different piles to just help us look at different pictures. And then we have two sets of charts. These charts, the first one shows operating revenues separated into their major segments by in a pie chart, just so that you can see the percentages. And you can see here that the largest part of our revenue comes in sales and user fees, and net taxes and government transfers. And then the next chart is the net operating. So this is the nets of those functions. as they're going forward. And is there a third one? No. Thought there might be another chart with the expenses in the same pie chart, but instead it shows you the net of them. And then the final component is the capital variance report. Now, I think every time we present this, we identify there's a difference between the financial capital variance report, which is simply the project expenses against the budgets that we have recorded in the financial system. There is another capital project report that comes to council that is more from a project management type perspective that talks about where the project is in terms of its status and delivery. So just, again, this is more the financial side of that, but it helps identify for council kind of where those projects are sitting from a purely financial standpoint. And that is the full financial update.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? Councilor Renford?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess, Mr. Osmond, because you mentioned earlier that there's volatility of the being 3 months, that, or is there anything that you're seeing that would worry you?
No, so I went through these numbers. Most of the numbers are where I would expect them to be. And I recognize that it's a hard task to ask council when they get this report to see that, because there are, like I said, there are some numbers, they just don't come in convenient little quarters, and you might not necessarily know. But yeah, as I go through here, these are where we would expect these numbers to be by and large.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, somebody to make that motion. Councilor Antnak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council accepts the report on the financial update and capital variance report to March 31st, 2026 for information.
Thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carry unanimously. Item 7.6, financial update, community center, phase 1, Mr. Thibault.
So we will have Rob stay there and run through this. Just for some context, the Excel spreadsheet that we're going through contemplates the very original budget that we were presented from the contractor that we then revised into our option 2 that council had selected. And Rob will go through the details of how that plays out to kind of where we are today.
All right.
Okay. What I've done is I've put together a financial update for this phase 1 portion of the project. So I'm just going to run through the spreadsheet, and then before I hand it back to you, I need to make sure that I talk to you about purchases of opportunity. So when we start out here, it's kind of a wide sheet, but essentially when we originally received the project estimates from the preferred vendor of the insurance company, they had provided for us an estimate for rebuilding what was in place at about $10.8 million. And so this spreadsheet starts by showing the insurance side and the town side of that $10.8 million. And then, as council will remember, there was an option 2 presented where we would approach this project a little differently to realize some actual cost savings. And so the columns we're looking at here on the screen, we have the insurance side of the preliminary estimate, the town's portion of that preliminary estimate, the total column. Then the option 2 was the reduced cost based on our alternate approach. And then as we work to the side, we're then we're looking at how things have actually come out since project approval to May 31st. So there have been a couple of insurance, we'll call them progress payments, insurance summaries. And they included about 479,000. Yeah, you can see it there. That 479,000 is on the restoration construction side. And then in that insurance claim, there was also 350,000 for the asbestos demolition and asbestos remediation. On the town side, so these are costs that we've paid directly. What I did was I went into the project tracking, I took out all the expenses that we've had, I broke them into these categories and split them. So you can see here as we are in the early part of this project, that first category, 52,870, this is the overhead and management section. So option 2 had suggested the budget for this was about 525,000. We are still in the kind of early stages of these projects. Expenses are starting to roll in with some speed. There is certainly more to come. But as you run down the line here and compare it to the budget that's on the left side of that column, you can see that we're performing really well against the budget. So down at the bottom where the cursor is right now, we see that budget at the 6.2 million. So that's the budget that we had. Currently, between the insurance side and the town side, our total expenditures are at $1,075,000. So we had initially, based on our budget of 6.2 million, that would have been a savings of 4.6 million over the original estimate provided by the vendor. We are currently tracking with 9,770,000 to go in that budget. So I provide that just as context as we move along. There is no chance that we will finish saving $9 million because we've got the next progress payment already from the insurance company. So that's falling fast. But the numbers do indicate that our plan is working well. Our savings are well on track. There was a high level of confidence that we would be able to outperform even our option 2 estimates. And based on where we stand right now today, that level of confidence should still very much be there for council. The last piece I'll draw council's attention to is just in the bottom right there. So that $1,075,000 is the amount to be funded. Of that, 829,000 is the insurance side, so they've taken care of the cost on that. And then we have the play-on donations and the Kraft Hockey Bill award. And so with those pieces in place, we still have about $147,000 more on the table. And that's with going no further than insurance proceeds and other donations. So when council originally approved the project, we recognized that after the insurance proceeds and the donations, that there was a potential to look to reserves and or potentially debt borrowing to finish funding this project. But as we sit right now, things are looking pretty rosy. So the only other thing I wanted to talk to council about before we moved on is in the budget, there was a line identified as, it was called purchases of opportunity. And essentially what these are is as we go through this process, there will be opportunities for us to make some investments. And so some of the things that we'll talk about, and there are 3 of these purchases of opportunity that we're drawing council's attention to. So there's things like the score clock upgrade. So as part of the insurance program, the clock was damaged and needs to be replaced. Insurance will come to a value which will closer relate to the current value of the old clock than the actual cost of a new clock. And so there is an opportunity here that a new clock has to be bought. So with a little bit additional investment, we can upgrade what is there. So that's the purchase of opportunity. So 3 purchases of opportunity to bring council's attention to at the moment. One is a boards upgrade. So there was a portion of the boards that needed to be replaced, but when they, and the thought was that we would need to go in and take that opportunity to replace the which? The plywood part. But then when we had a look at it, it turned out that there was some aging issues, and the boards will need to be done altogether. And then there's also the Wall of Fame electronic solution. So all 3 of these things are the kind of purchases of opportunity. And I know council has had some conversation about what these things might look like. We don't necessarily know what all those opportunities are going in. So in the budget, that line was there, but it was left blank. We'd figure out what those were. So the next time council sees this financial report, I would assume that if those 3 have happened, then they will appear on that line in the project report. So.
All right, thank you. Councillor Sorensen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Osmond, was there any stipulation, I just have a couple questions. Was there any stipulations as to the money that we received through the craft award as to, you know, how we have to facilitate spending that donation?
I don't know the answer to that question.
I do know the answer to that question. They don't have anything specific that it has to be put towards. It just has to be put towards arena upgrades.
Okay.
That being said, we would like to be able to identify where that money went to specifically, so we will designate something that money is going to go towards, but there is no stipulation that it has to be towards a particular thing.
Okay. And then, so, Mr. Tebow, you might know the same answer, and it might be the same, or it might be the same answer. The donations that we received from the community, I think it would be more mindful for us to say this is where that money went to, instead of it just being behind some bricks and paint. So maybe that you might have the answer to that also.
So some of the donations would be specific that they would want. So for an example for this would be that $40,000 upgrade to the score clock. That money's not showing as a revenue or donation, but the Titans provided that $50,000 that was originally for the dryland facility that they've now repurposed to this.
Okay.
And so that money will be for the score clock because they've asked it to be for that particular purpose.
Okay.
There's some cases where people aren't specific and it doesn't matter to them where that would be, but certainly where they are, we will make every effort to put it towards what they request.
All right, Mr. Tebow, you have something else to add?
Actually, that question allowed me to add I just want to make sure that the Titans money was mentioned, as it didn't show up in the spreadsheet, but it is here.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not a question, just a comment. I'm so impressed that we are on time. We're not only on budget, but like under budget, according to what the original restoration company proposed. And I just want to acknowledge administration. It was administration's willingness to take this on in-house that made this all possible. So I know it's a big project, but it's going to be beneficial to the entire community. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor Hempert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Mr. Tebow, I see that the asbestos went from 100 to 350, so that was something that you were able to get up, because I thought a while there, I thought it was only going to be 100, so it was nice to see it higher.
Yeah, so there was a separation between things that were considered to be construction and things that were considered to be abatement. And so some of those things intertwine. And so when talking to the insurance company, we were able to ascertain that there is some actual difference where construction would have had to have happened, whether there was asbestos or not. So that was that delineation, which allowed us to go move to 350.
All right, anything else on that note? Okay, Rob, anything else to add there?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Firth?
I was just prepared to make a motion.
All right,
That council accepts the report on the financial update Community Center Phase 1 to May 31st, 2026 for information.
all right, thank you. Do you have a motion on the table? Councilor Rubio, you have another question?
No, Mr. Mayor, I was just prepared to make the motion.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table, all in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. On to item 7.7, information for council. Mr. Tebow?
So this will be me speaking to this. We have the grant tracking spreadsheet. I didn't know if there was any specific questions that council might have on that. I'll pause for a minute and we'll try to answer some if there is. The green is successful. The sort of salmon color is declined, and the clear or the white ones are pending, so yet to be decided. Anything from council on any of those items?
All right, thank you. Anything arising? None? Okay, no. I
Okay.
think we're all right.
So then we have the Tabor Food Bank newsletter that's in there. Just the normal update. And again, I'll ask Mr. Egan to come forward for a community center verbal update that's a little more real time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Egan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Council. So in general, good progress is being made and we are on time and on schedule. We've have the good fortune of all the asbestos-containing material related to the unscheduled demolition of the demising wall has been cleaned up in all areas of the building. So we just completed in the curling rinks, social spaces and public spaces. The curling rink itself was cleaned up with the ice surfaces. So that is a good news, and that's been confirmed through multiple testing. That's pretty standard in that process. Masons, you might have noticed a whole bunch of masonry block arriving on site to reconstruct that firewall, demising wall. That's well underway, and we've got a couple more weeks of work in that regard, and then there'll be some block filling, painting, and then eventually covering with acoustic tile, which is actually from a different project. The south masonry wall repair, which you can see from Highway 3, there's a little bit of that white covering over top of the scaffolding, is scheduled to follow, and they've removed the ACM material in the cavities of the block, and then now we just have to pull down a little bit of block and rebuild to pull the wall back to where it was and where we want it as far as infill. It's not structural, it's infill. There's a steel structure is what's holding the roof up and the building up. So, but it does demise between some parts of the exterior and the storage areas. So, and that was displaced by a couple 3 inches in different spots when the explosion occurred. And then the final major component is to do with the rebuilding is the furniture, fixture, and equipment, FF&E. The majority of those items have been selected, confirmed. We've seen shop drawings on much of the materials and approved, and so they're on order for arriving. So these are things like light fixtures, the spectator heating, netting, items like that are not construction, but are the accoutrements that make the rink a workable and livable space. And so, so that's the macro overview.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Egan whatsoever? All right, no, thank you for that update. All right, item 7.8, notice of motion. Mr. Tebow, anything your end?
I had nothing new come to me. I don't recall fielding any emails. And our current one remaining is the golf that we talked about this evening. So I have nothing further at this point.
All right, thank you. With that, I asked for a motion to move into our 30-minute meal break, and we'll come back and move on to that item 7.3 for the rescheduled regular council meeting. If you would, please, someone.
I'll make the motion.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Oh, we're live? All right. If we could reconvene the meeting, please, and go back to item 7.3, rescheduling the regular council meeting from June 22nd to June 23rd. Councilor Redford?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can make the motion that council reschedule the regular council meeting originally scheduled for June 22nd on 2026 at 3:30 to June 23rd, 2026 at 3:30 PM.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. All right, thank you. All right, moving on to delegations. We have no delegations. Media inquiries. Mr. Tebow, any media inquiries? There are none.